Hi, I'm Cori, and this is a yoga sequence specifically for people with ostomies, or people who have ostomy bags. I posted an earlier video with suggestions and general advice for ostomates beginning a yoga practice, so you might want to check that out. If you're doing this video for the first time, I recommend that you might have 2 blocks if you have them. If you don't worry about it. You might want to have a strap, a stealth belt, a maternity band, or high-waisted pants just to hold your appliance in place. And you also might want to keep a water bottle near your mat. We'll get started down on our backs today. So come all the way to lying down, and I'll meet you there. And as you come onto your back, close your eyes, set your feet up on the floor pretty wide apart, and then let your knees come together in the center. And you can have your hands resting face up beside your body, or place one hand on your heart, one on your belly, whatever you feel most comfortable with. We'll take a couple moments of silence here just so you can connect in with your breath. You can start to lengthen your inhales and your exhales. And check in with yourself and how you're feeling today. We'll take 3 more rounds of breath here on your back. Now as you're ready, let your eyes blink open. You're going to stretch your arms up towards the ceiling and start to bring your knees right up over your hips. You can spin the palms to face down toward your knees. On an inhale, we'll start to reach the right arm back up overhead. Doesn't have to go all the way to the ground. It can come right in line with your ear. And the left leg long. And we'll exhale to lift them back up through center. Inhale, extend the left arm and the right leg. And exhale, draw them back up through center. Yeah, and then you'll start to get it going with the breath. Inhale, switch to the other side. Exhale, draw everything back to the middle. Try to keep the knees right up over your hips. And try to keep your belly button hugging down towards the floor. You'll feel the muscles in your belly start to engage. And you'll just start to connect movement with breath. Take 1 more to each side. And we'll lower the feet down, lower the hands down by your sides. And press the palms down into the mat and extend the legs right up over your hips. And it's okay to keep the knees bent. Yeah. And then feel your hips pressing down into your mat. You might be able to tuck your fingers underneath your body and feel that there's a little space between your low back and the floor. That's what you want. And that might mean you have to take the feet a little further away from you. We'll use an inhale to lower your right leg down anywhere from halfway to all the way to a hover. Exhale to lift it up through center. Inhale, left leg lowers. Could be halfway, could be a few inches off the floor, whatever feels better for you. Exhale to lift it back up. Inhale, lower down. Try to keep your belly button hugging nice in toward your spine. Exhale, lifts the right leg up, and you'll switch back and forth from side to side. And keep pressing the palms down by your sides. Try to keep your face and the sides of your neck relaxed. And if you're here and maybe this feels too easy or you need to add in an extra challenge, if that serves you, you could start to do both legs at the same time. And it could come anywhere from halfway to, like I said before, coming all the way to a few inches up off your mat. Take 2 more wherever you are, and 1 more on each side if you're still going from side to side. And then we'll lower the knees down onto your mat. Roll over onto one side or the other, and you'll press your way up into a tabletop position. So you'll come onto your hands and your knees. You'll set your wrists right underneath your shoulders, knees about hips distance apart. And then just like we did when we were lying on the floor, we'll extend the right leg back and start to reach the left arm forward. And the right foot doesn't have to come very high. You'll keep the toes flexing down towards the mat, only a few inches up off the floor. Inhale here. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, opposite arm, opposite leg. Exhale, lower hand and knee down to your mat. Inhale, find length in your spine all the way from your fingertips out to your heel. And exhale to lower. And as you get used to it, you'll notice maybe you're shifting from side to side or dumping into one hip. And you'll start to feel everything hugging into your center line. And feel the muscles of your core engage that are going to support your spine eventually. And take one more time to each side. And then we'll start to take a few rounds of cat and cow pose. You'll pretty much keep your lower body and your belly the same. Use your inhale just to reach your heart forward, drawing the shoulder blades gently together behind you, and you'll gaze forward. Exhale, tuck your tailbone down towards the floor. Press your palms down into the mat and let your spine round for cat. Inhale, keep the low belly hugging in, reach your heart forward, cow. And then exhale, round into the spine. Breathe out every last drop of air as you take your cat pose. And then start to move with your breath, alternating back and forth between those two poses. I'm going to take about 2 more rounds of breath here. We'll come back to a neutral spine. Walk your hands an inch or 2 in front of where they are now. Create some space between your fingers and really press down through the thumbs and the forefingers. Tuck your toes under and we'll press back into our first downward facing dog. Knees can bend as much as they want to. And just let your head and your neck relax down. Really press down into the palms so the arms get as straight as they can be, and reach your sitting bones up and back like you're going to sit on the wall behind you. And take a couple breaths here to get comfortable in your down dog. And then we'll use an inhale to rise to the balls of your feet and take a walk up to the top of your mat. Let your knees bend along the way. We'll wind up in a forward fold, and you could take your hands on blocks here out in front of you. And let your head hang down heavy. You might nod your head up and down a few times or shake it side to side. And then slide your hands up onto your hips. Press through both feet. We'll come all the way up to standing. And then set your feet up about hips distance apart. We'll take a round of a sun salutation. Inhale, reach the arms out and up overhead. And exhale, spread them wide as you fold forward. Again, hands can be on blocks or on the floor. Inhale, press your hands down into your blocks or onto your shins. Lift up about halfway. Exhale, plant your hands down. Step back to a plank pose. And then lower your knees down. Inhale, stretch your heart forward like cow pose. Exhale, tuck your toes under. We'll come back to downward facing dog. And take a couple rounds of breath here. Get reset. Have your hands about shoulder distance, feet about hips distance. And then inhale, lift up through the heels. Start to walk your way forward up to the top of your mat. We'll inhale up for a halfway lift. Exhale, fold your way back down. And then press through the feet, reach the arms wide, come all the way up to standing and stretch your arms out and up overhead. We're going to start to sit down into our chair pose. Keep your feet hips distance apart for this one. We'll sit your hips back. Make sure you can see your toes poking out underneath your knees and that your knees are about tracking over your second toe. Yeah, so knees will be hips distance too since the feet are hips distance. And then we'll shift more weight into our right heel and you'll slide your left foot back on the mat to come into a high lunge. Again, still have your feet about hips distance, spike up high on the ball of your back foot. And press more weight into your front heel. And come to your breath here. Reach your arms high by your ears. If it bothers your shoulders to have them straight up, you can take them out in a V shape or like YMCA arms. I'm going to take one more breath here. And on your exhale, step your left foot forward, come back to your chair pose. Start to shift more weight into your left heel. We'll slide the right foot back, coming into a crescent pose on the other side. Keep a little bend in your back knee, like you're reaching your sitting bones down towards the floor. You'll feel an opening in your right hip flexor. And try to draw your frontal hip points up toward your ribs. And then press more weight into your left heel. Take another breath here. Exhale, step back to your chair pose. We'll press into both heels to rise all the way up to standing. Draw your hands into heart center and then have them come down by your sides. And we'll start to set up for a balancing pose called tree pose. So step your feet in pretty close together. And we'll start by grounding into your left foot. So spread the toes, bring a little bend into your knee. And we'll peel the right heel up off the mat. And start to rotate your right knee out to the right side, only so much that your hip points stay facing forward. And then you could stay here working on balance. You could bring your foot up onto your calf, or you could help the foot all the way up to your inner thigh using your hands. And then find your balance. You could bring the hands to heart center, or even reach them up overhead, growing your branches. And it helps to pick a point that's on the floor that's not moving, so that you can settle your gaze and shift the balancing act a little internally. And take a few breaths here, feeling everything hugging into your center line and really rooting down through your standing foot. And we'll take one more inhale on this side. And exhale to lower the knee down, draw your hands down onto your hips. We'll shift the weight over into the right foot. Take a little bend in the standing knee. Start to deeply bend the left knee and rotate the knee out towards the side. Hips stay facing forward. Stay here with your kickstand. Bring your foot to your calf or help the foot all the way up into your inner thigh. That's up to you. Steady your gaze. Find your balance and your breath. And you choose if you want to take your hands to heart center, or you could extend them up towards the sky. And take a few breaths here, and if you ever fall out of it, that's totally okay. You can always come back into it, regain your breath, recenter yourself. And we'll take another inhale. And exhale, lower the foot down, lower the hands down. You'll turn to face one of the long edges of your mat and step your feet pretty wide apart. If you have blocks, you could set them up behind your heels, but if you don't worry about it. And we'll take the whole right leg and right toes and turn them out to the right, and then spin your back foot in a little bit. Start to bend into your front knee, any amount, and really press down through your front heel. And we'll start to reach your fingertips apart. And your chest will mostly be facing that side edge of your mat. Your gaze will turn to look forward right over your right fingertips. This is Warrior 2. And we'll take a few breaths here, getting steady in your Warrior, really pressing the front heel down and rooting down through the whole back foot. And let your shoulders soften a little bit away from your ears. And feel your crown of your head reaching high up towards the sky. And we'll start to straighten out through your front leg, and we're going to shift into triangle pose. You might have to make your stance a little shorter by hopping the back foot in a little bit. We'll reach the right fingers forward and let your hips kick a little to the back. And then lower your right hand down. It can come onto your shin if you don't have a block, or onto your block on any of its levels. And if your neck feels okay, you might extend your gaze to look up at your top thumb. And if it doesn't feel okay to be down this low, you can always take it a little higher and press the back of your hand into your inner thigh. What you really want to find is a lot of openness across your chest. A little bit of drawing together of your shoulder blades back behind you. We'll press into both feet to make your way back up to standing. Lower the hands down onto your hips and parallel the edges of your feet. And we'll take it to the other side by turning the whole left leg and left toes out to the left. Spin your back foot in a little bit. And then take a deep bend into your front knee. To stretch your arms out parallel to the floor. Fingertips reaching in opposite directions. Find your strength in your warrior two. Feel both feet rooting down into your mat, the crown of your head reaching high. From here, start to extend through your front leg. Kick your hips a little to the back as you stretch your left fingers forward, and then we'll tilt your left hand down. You could bring the back of your hand into your inner thigh, or hand could come to your shin. If you have a block, take it right out to the outside of your foot, and reach your top arm up to the sky. Maybe turn your gaze to look up at that hand. And really feel the feet rooting down into the earth. Find expansion across your chest by reaching from fingertips to fingertips. And then we'll press through both feet. Make your way up to standing. Let your hands lower down onto your hips. Parallel at the edges of your feet. If you have blocks, we'll take them with us. If you don't worry about it. We'll root down into the feet and start to hinge forward at your hips. If you have blocks, you could place them right underneath your shoulders. If you don't, your hands could come down to the mat, and you can bend your knees any amount. And you'll feel a stretch in the backs of the hamstrings. And a nice, easy, wide-legged forward fold. And then you'll start to walk the blocks a little bit forward, or your hands a little bit forward, almost like you're taking a downward facing dog with really wide legs. Let your shoulders or let your arms reach in line with your ears. If they don't go there, that's okay. Bend your knees as deeply as you need to keep the sitting bones reaching toward the back wall. And feel a lot of space here in the back of the body opening up. And take one more breath in. And then walk your hands or your blocks back in line with your feet. And press down to the feet, slide your hands to your hips. And root down to come all the way up to standing. We'll bend into your knees so you can step your feet together. And then take yourself and your blocks back up to the top of your mat. Use an inhale to reach the arms out and up overhead. And then exhale to spread the arms wide as you forward fold. Your hands can come onto blocks or down onto the floor. Inhale, stretch the heart forward, lift up halfway. And then exhale to plant the hands down on your mat. Step back to your plank pose. Lower the knees down. We'll inhale, stretch the heart forward, roll the shoulders onto your back. And as you exhale, sit your hips back to your heels. Walk the hands back toward your knees. And then we're going to come all the way down onto your back. So shift your hips over to one side, slide the feet around in front of you, take your blocks out of the way, and come all the way down onto your back. We'll set up for bridge pose. So bring the hands down by your sides and step the feet hips distance apart, knees hips distance apart too, pointing up towards the sky. Walk your feet close enough in toward your butt that you can touch the backs of your heels with your middle fingers. And then start to root the heels down so you can lift the hips up. And they can come to any level that's comfortable for you. You want to be in like a long straight line from your knees down to your shoulders. Root the outer upper arms, the shoulders down into your mat so you can open the chest. And keep your gaze looking up towards the ceiling. Get the back of your neck pretty relaxed. And most of your weight is pressing down into your shoulder blades and the outsides of your upper arms. And take another inhale here. And as you exhale, lower your hips down to the mat. We'll take that one more time. Start to root down through the heels and through all four corners of your feet. Start to press down into the feet and the palms. Lift your hips up to any comfortable level. Really roll the outer shoulders underneath the body to open up your chest. And take another breath here. And then exhale, lower the hips back down to your mat. Take a breath here in a neutral spine. You could walk your feet wide and let the knees touch together. And then we'll keep your left foot on your mat. Extend your right leg up to the sky. Wrap your hands around the back of your hamstring. And we'll just take a stretch into the back of the leg. And reaching your heel up towards the sky. You can always keep a bend, deep or small, into the knee that's lifted. We'll take the right ankle, cross it over the left knee, and then start to reach one hand between the leg, one hand wrapping around the outside to grab hold of the thigh. And if it's more comfortable, you can keep the right foot on the floor and release the hands, and use one hand to just gently press the right thigh away from you as you flex into the right foot. And we'll uncross the ankle. Switch so you cross the left ankle over, flex the left foot, grab hold of the back of the thigh, or just gently press your left hand into the inner left thigh, rolling it away from you, and then opening into the outer hip. And we'll uncross the ankle. Bring the feet as wide apart as your mat, or pretty wide, wider than hips distance, and we'll windshield wiper the knees a little bit side to side. And then we'll start to bend into both knees, taking them up towards the sky. You could grab hold of the backs of your thighs here, or maybe you grab your ankles for happy baby pose. And rock a little bit back and forth on your mat. And take yourself through center. Slowly release the legs and straighten them out long. Let your hands fall down by your sides. Let your eyes softly close. And start to settle in for your final resting pose. You'll feel your breath smooth out and your body start to relax down into your mat for Shavasana. Take as much time as you need to come out of your Shavasana. I hope you enjoyed the flow in this video. I hope you found some pointers that are helpful to you in your practice, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing it for a while. I'm open to any suggestions or anything that worked for you or didn't work for you. Please share. If you liked it, like it, or leave a comment. I'd love to connect. Thank you so much for watching. I'm wishing you the best in your yoga practice. The light in me honors and bows to the light in you. Namaste.